made it to day 2. Welcome back. This is the ground floor session for day 2 of BSides Las Vegas. A few announcements before we get started. You guys are old hat with this, but we say them every time anyway. First of all, streaming has started, so if you could please remember to turn off your cell phones. And if you have questions at the end of the talk, please use
I'm going to document this for fun.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
You ready?
I'm ready. You ready? Are you all ready?
No.
Oh yeah.
Who out there is hungover this morning? You don't count. Anybody? Excellent. So you are the people that are actually paying attention. Okay.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is BSides Las Vegas. I am the cavalry. Good morning, everyone.
Here, hang on.
Good morning, everyone. This is BSides Las Vegas. I am the cavalry. This talk is how to treat your hacker and responsible vulnerability disclosure.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. And it's by the award-winning
The award-winning.
Monta Elkins. A couple quick announcements that we're going to make. We'd really like to thank our sponsors here at BSides Las Vegas, specifically our Inner Circle sponsors, Critical Stack and ValleyMail. And some of our stellar sponsors, there's just so many, Amazon, BlackBerry, and the NSA, to name a few. So thank you, NSA and Amazon and BlackBerry. Your support is really appreciated. Our talks are going to be streamed live, and as a courtesy to everybody, please silence your cell phones now. So go ahead and set them to silent if you haven't already. If you have any questions, I'll run over with an audience microphone, which I can't find right now, but we might have him Monta go ahead and repeat the question if not. So just to make sure everybody on YouTube can hear you. That's it. I'm going to read a quick bio of Monta now.
Oh.
Monte.
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 Monte. Long A.
Long A.
Yeah.
Or not. It just reloaded. Of course.
It's okay. Nobody's watching.
Nobody's watching. So Monte Elkins is the hacker-in-chief of Foxguard Solutions, which is an ICS patch information provider, a security researcher and consultant, and U.S. patent grantee. He is considered by many of his friends to be the Chuck Norris of the ICS cybersecurity industry.
Somebody likes it. Yeah, okay.
Monte has been a speaker at more security conferences than his enormous ego can remember, including DEF CON, BSides, CS3.
Oh, that's in sweet. Skip that one. That's
yeah.
in Stockholm.
GE Digital Energy, ICS JWC, Toshiba ICS.
Skip.
It's
going.
so many.
Yeah.
He's also at the SANS ICS Summit and was named Cybersecurity Professional of the Year by EnergySec. In his spare time, Monte creates a totally safe for work Coke for strippers,
Coke and strippers.
Coke and strippers electronic projects YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one you have to see.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Yeah. No, it's Coke and strippers. You could search for it. I wouldn't do it at work, but Coke and strippers, Monte. It stands for Diet Coke and wire strippers, so it's electronic stuff. Yeah, but all right. So in any case, thank you. Oh, hang on. Well, afterwards, that was so good. I have 1,000 in cash for you, featuring Nikola Tesla.
Oh.
Right there. All right. Welcome. I'm glad you all are awake this morning. we're going to talk about how to treat your hacker, in quotes, and responsible vulnerability disclosure. So that starts something like this. Hey, somebody just called you up, your company up, and says, there's some security issue where you are. At that point, what would you do if somebody gave you such a notice, such a heads up, right? Are you prepared? Have you thought about that a little bit ahead of time? You don't want to be surprised when that happens. So we're going to look at it a little bit. So, of course, I play in the ICS security space. Super quick intro for people who are new to the area, perhaps, but that's manufacturing, and it's water and wastewater and pharmaceuticals and dams and electric generation and transportation. That's industrial control systems in a super small nutshell. Sometimes when I'm introducing it to new employees at work, I use this book by Rob Lee called SCADA and Me. It's okay, he said I could use it. I remember, it's SCADA and Me. It's a book for children in management, so I recommend it. I was given the talk once at work, and the CEO of the company came by, and I'm like, hey, by the way, you should probably look at this book. It's written for children in management. Anyway, the end of the book is sort of the intro to here. So little Bobby is learning about SCADA systems. He's like, so I heard I have to protect SCADA from hackers. Are all hackers bad? Oh, not exactly, but that's a story for another time. And this is that other time. So I'm also on a bit of a quest to reclaim the term hacker. It sort of had its ups and downs over time. It went from sort of being a good thing to being a bad thing. I think it's coming to be a good thing again. But we have a couple of definitions, just to start. White hat, an individual uses a computer or networking skills to overcome a technical problem, doing something cool. Black hat is a person who uses their abilities to gain unauthorized access, to do something that they are not supposed to do, potentially commit crimes. At the end of the day, this is really, though, the secret of hacking. The real hacker asks themselves, not what is this tool designed to do, but what is it capable of doing, right? That's the difference. Not what did somebody say it's supposed to do, but what can I really do with this tool? And we don't see this term too much anymore, but instead of black hat, cracker sometimes being someone who cracks systems or attacks them. So back into hacking along this theme, what is a tool capable of doing, not what was it designed to do, right? So these are a couple examples of, like, our cup wasn't designed to catch dust when you're drilling in the drywall over your head, but it does a pretty good job. You ever do this? You will now? Okay. Or the little Post-it. I'm usually putting stuff in the wall. How to open your bottle. That's an important skill here. If you don't have a corkscrew, a hammer, not like this, like this. All right. Not what was it designed to do, what is it capable of doing, right? Skills of a hacker. All right, so what's a vulnerability? Vulnerability is a weakness which can be exploited by unauthorized folks. And then we have like exploit, which is a way to take advantage of a vulnerability, right? A little bit of distinguishing. Sometimes people don't distinguish between vulnerability and exploit particularly well. But so an exploit for this gate system might be, oh, look, we have an exploit. We can drive around this thing to the left. Well, you could fix that, right? You can block it. But it really didn't solve the vulnerability because you can also drive around it to the right. All right, so that's our intro. Now, back to the thought. Somebody called you up and said, there's a problem either if you could be a vendor, and in that case, it might be a problem with something that you created, or you might be any other business and something that you use, bought, set up, or configured has a problem. Your company web server is spilling all your client data out to the internet, right? What do we do with that? So I propose this first rule of thumb, that if somebody calls you and tells you there's something wrong with one of your systems, let's assume that they are the good guy. Now, it's not necessarily true, but let's assume they are the good guy. There are a lot of other things they could do with this information. Like, I'm most concerned about the person who finds this out and they don't tell you about it, right? They're going to keep it. They're going to do something else with it. So if they've discovered this and they notify you in some way, they call you up, right? Start out by giving them the benefit of the doubt that they are the good guy. They're trying to do the right thing. Instead of hiding it, keeping it, using it, abusing it, they want to let you know so you have the opportunity to deal with it. So what good is this notification? Well, if you're a vendor, right, that's kind of obvious. Maybe you will want to create some kind of patch to fix it. There might be some other mitigations that are possible instead of a patch or until a patch can be applied, and you might document those. As another business, a customer, a user of a product or service of some kind, this notification can still help you. Of course, if there's a patch, you can apply it. But if there's not, there's still things you can do if you know the vulnerability exists and you know something about it. So if somebody has documented this fairly well, whether it comes from the vendor or CVE or someplace else, you can take steps to defend yourself against it even without a patch, right? You can add additional firewalls, shut down that service, change the configuration. So that information is valuable of itself even when a patch isn't available. So we said that we might consider, give them the benefit of the doubt that if somebody lets you know that they are the good guy, right? They might legitimately be able to sell this vulnerability information to somebody, either the information that's lost or the knowledge of the vulnerability itself. And there are open markets to do that, and that's a legal thing to do. As a matter of fact, some companies will pay lots of money depending on how good the vulnerability is. So it could be tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. You know, you get a good exploit for an iPhone or really into, Windows 10. That could be, hundreds of thousands, maybe $1 million. So that's one of the alternatives. So remember, if somebody called you up to let you know this, they're bringing you a gift, right? This potentially has market value elsewhere, and they decided not to do that. So who do you think buys these? Who buys vulnerabilities?
Software vendors.
Software vendors. Why would a software vendor buy it?
They know what they're
So they could fix it, yeah. Who else? Hackers, yeah, because maybe they want to take advantage of it, yeah.
nation states.
Yeah, maybe intelligence agencies who want to use it. So there are markets, there are different people with different motivations. Occasionally maybe security companies because they want to know so they can protect their customers. There are various people that might let you know about a vulnerability. In particular, Google, they have Project Zero. I don't know if we have any of those folks around. So if they find a vulnerability, they have a 90-day disclosure policy so that after they find it, they're going to let the vendor know, and then they will disclose it publicly. So we already discovered what's the value of disclosing it publicly if there is no patch? Well, because there might be other mitigations. There's also some other benefits to that disclosure. Disclosure can be a motivation for a vendor as well. It's like, this is going to become known, right? So we expect you to continue work or begin work on fixing this item. So other people may tell you along the way. You may have, your customers might tell you. The security consultants that you hire might tell you. If you're building some kind of industrial control system plant, you often have an integrator putting all the pieces together. They may discover a vulnerability along the way. You may hire researchers. Also, somebody who has you in their supply chain, they may come to ask you, do you disclose vulnerabilities? Do you post mitigations? Do you have a good process for letting us know if a product we bought from you has some vulnerability and how we could deal with it, right? That's useful information to have. So even outside of your, people may be asking you, what is your vulnerability disclosure policy like? In some places in industry, we have requirements, like in NERC, SIP, Critical Infrastructure Protection. There are requirements too, when you add a new cyber asset, to do a vulnerability assessment on it, and then to come back and do vulnerability assessments on a regular basis. So I think sometimes companies believe that, well, we've got this product and we will send it out into the universe and we will sell it and nobody will notice, nobody will pay attention. That's not true, right? Some people are required to pay attention. Some people are required to test your product if you're a vendor. So those things get discovered, and they have good reason to be. If you are trying to set up a system to do this, there are a couple of ISO standards that can help you. Believe it or not, there's ISO 30111 and 29147. The first one is vulnerability handling process. This is your internal, how do we deal with the vulnerability if we're notified, and how do we take care of that? The other one is vulnerability disclosure. How do we notify people about the vulnerability, and what kinds of information do we provide? So those are some good reference documents if you're trying to set this up in your organization. You don't have to entirely make this up from scratch. Using a standard has an additional benefit in that if you can, and there are probably other standards out there. I'm not so concerned which one, but if you pick a standard, then you have sort of one argument in an organization. The argument is, oh, which standard are we going to pick? Because once you pick the standard, now there are a bunch of things that it says to do. And you don't have to have an argument about each one of those things. Your argument was, we picked the standard. Every step you want to take as a security